hive inspection. Very basic because the hive is still very young. All we're gonna do is check for queen presence, basically check for eggs and larvae. And based on how many frames have eggs or larvae, we will go ahead and preemptively treat with varroa sand or Varroa sand, a varroa mite treatment. Varroa mites are a very common problem in hives. They exist in pretty much every hive. It's just a matter of how much of a problem they become within the hive. We feed them with. I'm using this hive tool, the little crowbar, because the bees have made some propolis. You can see this faint yellow outline. That's a kind of glue that the bees make to hold their little homes together. Let me prop this up. And here's the inside of the hive. You can see a bunch of bees here. So, like I said, we're just gonna do a check for eggs, larvae, anything like that. I'm gonna start with a smoker. You can see the bees are reacting to it. They're going down into the frame. Some of them are flying up and away. This smoker is a very common tool used in beekeeping, usually to keep the bees under control, easy to manage. So I'm going to use the hive tool to make a gap here. There's not much propolis. Most of the propolis is going to exist between frames, so I'm going to use this between frames to prop them apart. Once they're like that, I can just pull this up. The bees haven't done anything with this frame yet. You can see some of them are just on it. Nothing happened yet. As we get closer to the middle though, there will be more and more activity. And then as we go out from the middle, there will be less and less activity. How much is here? You can see some drawn comb here. You can see some nectar. That makes sense. This is a wax frame. This has wax foundation. This is the only one that I put in the hive, but the bees love the wax foundation. As you can see, they've been building on it. Some of it is left over from a previous hive, but no, there's definitely some new foundation on there. And this is a very beautiful example of freshly drawn comb on plastic foundation. Very uniform, very nice. No capped brood. You can see there's some cells that have darker yellow off to the side here. That's pollen that they've stored up. They're starting their food stores. Just gonna let these frames be. There's not much to really do with these. Like I said, I'm looking for the eggs, and the queen usually will start in the center with those. So this will probably be the first frame that we actually pay attention, see if we can maybe even spot the queen, but first I'm gonna take a look. Okay, good. There is some larvae in here. Because I can see that, I'm also going to try to keep an eye out for the queen on any frames I look through from now on. And if I find her, I'll point her out. The way you spot the queen, she's typically bigger than other bees, and her abdomen is usually a little bit more uniform. All these bees, if you can see, have the typical black and white striping. The queens typically will also have that striping, but it's a little bit more muted. Sometimes the queens won't even look like they have that pattern, and they might just look kind of orange on their abdomen. So we're going to move through, continue to move through. Not much has been built on this. The frame is a different color because it's a newer frame. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff built on it, but that's not really the case. It's just newer. And nothing's on this frame. Let me just flip through these. Nothing. So it looks like the bees have mostly done their work on the frames from here on, because I've seen some stuff. Was it on this frame? No, it was the previous frame. I'm gonna do another quick check, see if I can spot the queen pointer out. I will also note that typically you will be using the smoker a lot more throughout this process, but because there's not a whole lot going on and the bees seem pretty calm, bees are pretty friendly right now, they're not checking me out too much. They know that they've got other things going on. So I'm in the clear, they know they're in the clear, and we're all happy. I accidentally pinched a bee there. But I don't seem to be able to find the queen. I don't want to be in this hive too long. I found a single frame that has brood, so I will also be treating with that Viroxan with a single a single strip of that, and that just looks like a strip of tree bark. So I won't be showing that part on video. But now I'm gonna basically reassemble all the frames, try to get it in the same order I got it in, because the bees, well, I don't think they're necessarily picky about it, but they did form the wax combs with the frames in a certain order, so it's probably easier for them to deal with it in that same order. And I try to gently push the frames back together so that I don't catch any bees in between these little divots. Although that does occasionally happen. Typically when you do a hive check, there will be some casualty, just because when you're dealing with tens of thousands of tiny honeybees, it's very difficult. One last note though, like I said, varroa mites are a problem in a lot of hives, and they're very difficult to diagnose for the fact that they're very small. They're about as small compared to bees as a small or even medium-sized dog would be to an adult human. So we can't check every single bee for something that tiny, and that makes it so that the best treatment against them is preventive measures rather than reactive measures. But now that I'm putting the hive back together, that's basically what the hive checks are going to look like in the future. Like I said though, this one was a fairly basic one. Just checking for queen presence, making sure the queen was accepted. It looks like the queen was accepted into this hive for the fact that she's laying eggs. So